Welcome back to Timo's Dinky and Diecast. Today I'm going to be working on a Corgi toy, a 452 Commer drop side lorry. So this is the toy. It's not complete. It's missing a front axle and front wheels, and it's also missing a front base, which you can't see here. The castings are in excellent condition. The paint is obviously chipped up. It's play worn, but it's looking in pretty good shape. So this is what I'm going to be working on today. So let's have a closer look at it. You can see that there's something been put in there as a front base, and at first glance it looks like it might need some work, but it's actually not the right part. The rear axle is in good shape. The whole casting is in good shape. Now, one thing I'm looking at here is the way it's held together. There's two rivets, or there's one rivet right now, and then there's these hooks on the bed. So first thing is to get rid of this base, because it's not the right one. It doesn't look like the right one, and it's not supposed to be there. This is actually a base for some dinky truck of some sort. Doesn't say what truck it is, but it's definitely not this one, because this one is a Corgi toy. There's two holes on the base, but only one hole on the casting. So we're just going to get rid of that. So now to take this apart, I'm going to have to take out the rivet in the back first. It looks like it's holding on the hook as well. So I'm going to get my Dremel tool out, and I've got this tiny little carbide burr. And I find these tiny little burrs are perfect. This is a round head burr, and it's perfect for taking off the rivet. And I'm holding the toy down to the bench top, and my hand is on the bench top, so it's rigid, so it's less likely to go skating across the piece and damaging the casting. So I've taken the rivet off and trying to get it with a screwdriver. It's a bit of a trick. It's a little bit tight, but now I'm committed to it because it's partially out, so I'm going to force it out, gently force it out. It is coming. There it comes. And then the front of that bed or box is held on with two hooks, you can see, going into the cab. So that's an interesting way of it being held together, and I kind of like it because it's simple, and it's only one rivet that holds that bed in place that way, and then that rivet in the back also holds the hook. So now I need to take that rear axle off. There's only two tires, so these tires are special tires, and so I don't have replacements for them, so I'm going to probably use something else. So these hubs are pressed in, so I got to get my wheel puller, and in an earlier episode I made this wheel puller. I think I featured it on that episode. This is for Corgi toys. A lot of them have the wheels pressed onto the axle, and the axle has been crimped with two little ribs, and so I've got to push it out with this wheel puller. I made this before I realized that you could buy a wheel puller. But I've made it, so I'm just going to keep using it. So there I can pull the axle out. It gives a little trouble because of those It's got pressed into it these straight barbs. You can maybe see there. So when I press them back, I'm going to line it up with the way it was before. So in the meantime, I did order a couple of new hubs. And I've got some axles that I'll use an axle. I didn't order an axle that has those ribs on them. Maybe I should have, because it's going to be a little bit of trouble trying to press these new hubs onto an ordinary 2mm axle. So we'll see what we do when that time comes. So one more thing to take off is the windshield. So this one has glass. It's wrapped around. There's windows on all sides. And it has this massive mushroomed rivet head, I guess you would call it. So I've speeded it up here. I'm pleased again because look, I'm able to get in there and grind down that head of that rivet without actually damaging the plastic at all. So it's pretty effective. So I've got all the metal off. It should come out now. I've got to push it from that window. The windows are kind of bulging outwards so that you get some purchase on it. And there, it's come loose. Get it out. I'm going to have to tap it. There we go. Out it comes. It doesn't look to be damaged at all. Just looking at it, it's very dirty, but I don't see any scratches or any scuffs even. It looks in very, very good condition. So now before I take the paint off, I want to drill and tap my holes where the rivets go. So I'm looking at these 256 button head cap screws, and I'm just trying to see if I'm going to have enough material that the screw will go in. And here's the tap drill for it. So it looks to me like it's gonna fit, but I don't want to drill all the way through. So I've just got to make it a little bit longer than the screw thread, and then I have to have my screw, the thread in the hole has to go all the way to the bottom of the hole, and I'll show you in a minute how I do that. So there's my stop. It's just a marker. It doesn't really stop the drill from going anywhere, but it tells me when I'm reaching the full depth, so I won't drill all the way through the casting. So I've gone full depth on that on the drill press. So I'm going in for my 256 tap and my small tap handle. Again, I'm using 3-in-1 oil. This material seems to be happy just with the 3-in-1 oil. It's not exactly the same as tapping in aluminum. It's a soft material and it's a chewy material, so you definitely need lubrication. But I'm finding that the just ordinary 3-in-1 oil seems to work very well as a cutting fluid. So this is a spiral point tap, so it's pushing the swarf down into the hole, which isn't the greatest. And I don't get very far in because it's a tapered tap, so the taper goes down in, so the thread is not deep enough. So I've got another tap, and I've ground the end off of this one, so the thread goes all the way to the end. You can buy, there's 3 different kinds of tap: a taper tap, plug tap, and a bottoming tap. And the bottoming tap is kind of like this one. It just has threads all the way to the end and no taper. And so I just made my own bottoming tap by grinding the end off of a normal taper tap, because I just had one and it's easier for me to grind it down than to buy a whole separate bottoming tap. So now I've gone to the bottom of that hole, and the screw should go all the way in now. And there you go. So that's perfect. That's going to work just fine. Now the other tapped hole is here at the back of the cab, and there's no base there yet, but it's going to be held in that hole. So before painting, I'm going to drill these and tap these holes. And there's some glue on there, and so I'm trying to get the thing flat down so I have a place to start drilling. And I'm using this as an automatic center punch. It's got a spring-loaded snap mechanism, and so I'm just getting a little dent in the center so that the drill will go in straight and not drift off to the side, because it needs to be in the middle of it so it's in the right place. So I'm holding this in my small drill press vise. I use this vise for all kinds of things. Totally invisible. The screw will actually pop up a little bit, and that's not really going to matter. And that way my tap will go all the way through, making that easy as well. So I can just use the taper tap and go straight on through. That little screw has a lot of threads on it. It's the same length as the 440 screws, which are fatter, but it has a finer thread pitch, so it's a lot of turns to turn that screw in. So this goes into my special plastic box. It used to have nails in it or screws in it or something, and boiling water and caustic soda. This is outside because it makes a bunch of stinky steam that comes out everywhere. So the paint came off of these pretty easily. So now, before I go on to the next step, I've got to make a base. So at this point, I start with a piece of paper, trace around the thing, take some time cutting it up so that it fits. Here I'm making sure that the width of where the wheels are is the same as on the front as it is on the back. And here I've designed my shape. And then I will transfer all that over to the piece of steel. This is a piece of steel. It's from weather flashing that I used a bit of years ago, and it's in my shop. And so whenever I'm doing one of these, I cut a piece of it off. It's steel. It's been very nicely painted both sides. And I go in with tin snips for the basic cutting. The tin snips are a very inaccurate way, an unpleasant way of cutting. Here for small parts, I've got what's called a nibbler. So you squeeze the handle of this thing, and this ram comes down, and it shears off bits of the steel. So it takes little bites each time, and I'm able to control it pretty effectively. So I follow the curve of this thing. In some cases I use the nibbler, some cases I use the tin snips, in other cases I use the bandsaw. And then I use the file to clean it up if I've got too much. Actually, if I'm just a little bit, I can file it down pretty quickly because it's very thin material. So here I mark the holes where the axles will go through. hole where the screw will go through and hold it in place. And there you can see I drilled it out. Didn't show drilling it, but the holes are now drilled. And now I got to cut out the parts for where I have to bend it so that the axles will be sticking. Those bends will come downward. And there you get the idea. I'm not sure what the original one looked like, but this is how I figured out it's going to be. So now, while I'm on a different note, this is the actual order that I did this thing. So now I've brought back out the window, and I'm just going in a little bit soapy water and a toothbrush and cleaning off all that filth. I'm being very gentle because the plastic it's in really good condition, almost like it's new. There's not a scratch on it. It looked like hell on the model, but pretty good once I wash it off. So now time to go to the buffing wheel on the drill press. So I do the castings. I get all the large areas, and then some corners I go with the Dremel tool, and I've got this fan blade thing. I got to put on really good safety glasses because that thing just throws those little wires everywhere and into my face. I can feel it hitting my face. I would lose my eyesight if I didn't put on really good safety glasses for doing that. So now I've got a way to hold these things. I put some sheet metal there, you can see, and then I put it on my fancy painting jig. I thought this would be a good idea to do it. It's not the best, but anyway, it's working. And now I'm using a spray bomb, and on this project I learned something. Well, I learned it on the previous project when I had trouble with the paint. And what I've figured out is with the spray bombs, after spraying, what I do everything has to be done within an hour or so. So I put the primer on, then I put first coat of paint, and I let them dry for 10-15 minutes in between, and then I put 2 coats of the color paint, and then I leave it alone for 2 days. It's got to be 48 hours. So here I'm painting the hook. First I'm straightening it out. Anyway, I've got to leave the spray bomb paint for 48 hours, not 24 hours like some of the cans will tell you. It's got to be 48 hours, and then the paint is hardened enough that you can do things like put tape on it without having it leave a mark. You can also handle it and it doesn't leave your fingerprints. But 24 hours is not enough, and so that's my lesson. And on this project it made such a vast difference that I'm going to do this religiously when I'm using spray bomb. There I've painted the hook. I painted the base black as well. For some reason it didn't get videotaped. I actually looked deeply for it, and I didn't tape it for some reason. So there's the hook. So this is my acrylic floor polish, and I'm using the technique that most of the restorers are using, and that is to dip your windshield into the floor polish, and it gives it a beautiful shine that makes it look as good as you can possibly get. This is a good windshield in really excellent shape, and dipping it in the floor polish made it really, really shiny. So here I've printed a 3D printed a interior, and noticed a problem. I put the steering wheel on the wrong side. This is it's a British lorry. It's got to have right-hand drive. And it's interesting, I didn't put a separate steering wheel. The separate steering wheels are always a hassle. Underneath the steering wheel there's a little post which you can't even see it here. So it holds up the bottom and it just stays there. And it lets me 3D print it and not have to have a separate steering wheel that goes in, which is always a terrible difficulty, I should say. Now here I've tried to come up with a way to press these things together. I don't do a lot of Corgi toys, but I plan on doing more. And I was trying to come up with a way, and this was supposed to be for my small vise. The small vise is too small. It doesn't have enough jaw width, so I have to redesign it. So I said, okay, well, let's just put the jaws into my full-size bench vise. And here now I got to do, that was the trailer portion, and now I'm pressing my axle into one of the new hubs. This isn't ideal, and the next time I have to do one of these, I'm going to have a new or a better design. This one was makeshift, and so here you can see the base that's been painted black. And I bring in the second hub. And you can see it's a bit of a trick because you need 3 hands to do this. So in the end, I used a little bit of super glue. So next step is to do the front grille. So here's the paint job. You can see it's beautiful, and on the turntable the paint job is so incredibly beautiful. The whole trick is you won't damage the paint if you leave it to dry 48 hours, and that's what I did. So I was able to tape it up like this and spray it with the silver, and it came out beautiful, and the paint was not damaged at all. And this is a big lesson for me, because how many times, I don't know, I've damaged the paint and had to do stuff to try and rescue it. And the whole trick was just to be patient and wait an extra day. So this is the little front tab. I painted silver as well because I didn't want that black tab sticking out the front of the grille on top of the bumper and everything. So now it's time to assemble this thing. So first goes in windshield. That just drops into place. Then it's held in place by my interior. So I designed it so that it's exactly the right height. So when you put the base on, it's going to push the windshield in place and keep it there. So no glue required, nothing. It's perfect. So my screw goes in, holding where the rivet was. So I never saw this base before, but I created one I think probably looks a lot like the one that was there originally. Now to put this bed on, I've got to put those tabs into the slots at the front, and there I've got it in there, but now I've got to put my hook. So lift that out, put the hook onto the peg that's sticking up where the rivet post, and align all that at the same time, and there it is. So I get my screw, and there we have it. It's all together. Now I looked online and I found a picture of this toy, and it came with a cargo of some kind of milk cans, or churns they call them. So I made up a bunch of milk cans, and I 3D printed them and painted them silver, and they just look fantastic in this thing. I just fell in love with this toy when those things went in. So here's to remind you of what we started with. It's in very good shape. It just needs a freshening up and painting, and the front axle and such. Let's see what it looks like now. Now this is just a gorgeous toy. This is the most beautiful paint job I've put on any toy yet, and I just love it. And on the turntable is beautifully visible. So once again, I had a toy that this came in a lot of toys, and I've done all the toys before it, and ones I was more interested in doing, and then this one is one of the ones that was left over, and I'm digging the bottom of the barrel, as it were, and now it's my favorite toy. it just came out so beautiful. I just love to look at it. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Timo's Dinky and Diecast. If you did, remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of the ones coming up, because I have many more good ones coming up. And also share with your friends and like it. That's pressed thumbs up, and that's hopefully going to help to get more views for me and more subscribers. So until next time, be seeing you.